My name is Gerri Falco, and I'm from the Climate Action Resilience Coalition, one of the volunteer members of that coalition, who is volunteers concerned about climate change and taking action to do something about it. We asked the town leaders as a select board and town meeting in May of 2022 to endorse a resolution to go forward in creating a plan to address climate change in Swampscott. We wanted to see a strong public statement in support of this effort by the town leaders as a vital first step to ensuring that the plan becomes something that's comprehensive, thoughtful, and has full community engagement. And that's why we're here tonight, to kind of get some community engagement going. So let you know what we're doing now and how to participate and be part of this input. We got endorsements from these committees and boards and groups. And the Article 15 was what was on the town meeting that the Renewable Energy Committee presented at town meeting in 2022. In March of 2021, Governor Baker signed a climate legislation to reduce greenhouse gas emissions and protect environmental justice communities. This bipartisan law combats climate change while still growing Massachusetts. It achieves the goals of reducing greenhouse gases to net zero by 2050. It set emissions limits for 50% at 2030, 75% at 2040, and net zero at 2050. It also set emission limits every 5 years for sectors of the Massachusetts economy. So we saw a couple weeks ago a presentation on the science of climate change by Professor Stephen Young of Salem State University. And as we know, climate change is happening now. The graph on the left shows that in his own research, temperature changes over the decades from 1900 to 2020 around the world, in New England, and in Massachusetts. And as you can see, New England is warming up faster than the world in general, and Massachusetts is warming even faster than New England region. The image on the right shows how ocean warming is occurring, has occurred, not projected to occur, but is occurring. This shows how the oceans are in general warming, but the warming in the Gulf of Maine is even more extreme. This has not just sea level rise implications, but impacts the ecology and ecosystems off of our coast. Ecosystems that provide important life-sustaining services to us, such as the air we breathe. So here's some photographs of the kind of things that have been happening in Swampscott over the past few years. And these are weather events. And you can't really say that weather events are absolutely directly attributed to climate change, but as predicted, these storms are more frequent and extreme, even here in Swampscott. So what are we doing in Swampscott about it? We're putting together a plan that will address and mitigate the emissions that we are responsible for here in Swampscott. The plan will also help us to create a more sustainable and healthy community that will better support our surrounding natural resources and biodiversity. We've been working on the details of the climate action plan, and it's still in the works. And those details are aligning with the Commonwealth's net zero of 2050 goals. It's also aligning or using the master plan goals and actions, and it requires and includes the input and participation of the whole community. It better prepares us for extreme weather events and state and federal funding when those kind of things happen. It leverages other resources It sets specific measurable goals and targets. This plan will not sit on a shelf. Implementation of this plan is vital. It will address mitigation, resilience, and adaptation. The Swampscott's Renewable Energy Committee conducted an inventory of the greenhouse gas emissions in Swampscott.
Yeah, right, this thing finally came on.
And it found the largest contributors to emissions is residential buildings at 41%, passenger vehicles at 34.4%, and commercial and industrial buildings at 14.7%. This is based on 2017 yearly data. So the Climate Action Resilience Coalition came up with 5 focus groups, areas for the climate action plan. Building and energy, and here are some actions that we need to take. Transportation, solid waste, natural resources, and resilience and vulnerability. Each of these areas, obviously, you can see has different actions that we need to take to try to address the climate. And we put together some goals, and which will be the actions that you would have seen in the last slide, and a time frame for creating a final plan by May of 2023, so we can bring it to town meeting for their approval. Right now, we're trying to go out and talk to people about make sure that community gets outreach and community engagement. So we have bi-weekly meetings. We applied for and received a $50,000 grant from the Massachusetts Executive Office of Energy and Environmental Affairs, EEA, and we hired an experienced consultant to support our climate action plan. We will be looking for more grants for trying to help us throughout this, and you can see that we have the check mark for creating goals and a time frame. We still have to make a website. We want to involve the community, communication plans for the town, and guest speakers. So why does this resonate with you who are on this call? What are you? We want to understand what your values are, your objectives, and your timelines. We did create a climate action survey to assess where climate change lies in the minds of Swampscott residents. You can find this on the website, the town website at swampscottma.gov. And if you just go up into the, you type in climate action survey in the search menu, and you'll find, and it'll come out. This survey is going to expire the 18th of this month. So electrification is a key strategy to reduce carbon impact and improve the energy security of the town. What we've achieved already are, obviously we put together what is our carbon footprint, which we found out where we need to work. We've adopted EV protocol policy, and completed a full electric HVAC design for the new school, and renewed residential electricity supply contract, 100% renewable sources at the same rate. Other things, this is a little bit dated because it talks about a June electrification thing going on that happened. We need to adopt a climate change action plan, adopt a stretch code, expand the EV charging and partnership with property owners, and so those are things we're looking to do. Now, here are some communities who have taken action from climate change and put together a plan similar to what we're doing. Marblehead being one, Arlington another, and there's a lot of them around in Massachusetts. Now, Bedford, our our consultant is the Kim London Associates, and they worked with New Bedford on their plan, and they put together a summary very similar to what they could do for us. Now, I'm not sure if I click on this, if I'll be able to get it to come up. You think I'll be able to do that? If I just do this, will it go to the internet, you think? No, it's not going to. It's not going to. I'll show that to you later. I'll show that to you later after I go through all the slides. But that's a really good thing to see as to what we can do. So these are the resources that we have, that we looked at, plus a bunch of other things that we looked at trying to work on with the plan. And so now your thoughts on climate change. We want to know what your priorities are, what your concerns are. And we also want to know what your hopes for Swampscott in 2030, 2040, and 2050. Now, if I can get out of this and go to another thing on my slide, I can go into the New Bedford presentation that shows, let's see. I don't know how to get back to my slides. Do I have to get out of it to do another share?
I think you do have to go out of that and then go. But before you do, I'd be interested in seeing that one slide that showed the different actions for each of the areas, like transportation, all that.
Right here?
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is what you focused in on?
This is what we focused in on, right? Some of the things that we're obviously, with the groups that I think we included here, we were trying to go for natural resources and resilience and vulnerability. Initially, it was called coastal resilience. And we found that our actions we need to make sure that the shoreline is resilient to sea level rise and mitigate flooding, and to minimize pollution in the ocean and freshwater. And with natural resources, we want to maintain and restore biodiversity. Well, we want to do that actually even in the ocean, you know, with all this. So that's pretty much where we started.
And so under each of these focus areas, well, the focus areas are the ones in the circle, right? And then the items listed under that, the goal is for your group to come up with specific items that would say, make shoreline resilience to sea level rise. So you will be looking at specific things that can be done.
Actions, yes. We're looking for actions. Right, exactly. Okay. Right. These are kind of the focuses what we're looking at within each of those. And then from there will come specific actions. And some of them might be regulations or upholding some of the regulations we already have, or rules and policies that we have. That's the kind of thing that we worked on. But yeah, this is where anything you guys can give us that will help us to enhance these ideals. And if you think there's something more we should be doing to help us with resilience and vulnerability, that's pretty much. I know that we have all the focus groups here, but the focus groups of interest, I think, for most people in this group, from the Conservation Commission, Open Space Committee, and the Conservancy, will probably focus on resilience and vulnerability and the natural resources. So does anybody else want to see any of the other slides before I move on?
The only other comment on this slide I have is there is a solid waste advisory committee. I don't know if you are familiar.
Yes.
And I'm wondering if they, achieve zero waste seems like a very lofty goal. Now, of course, I would love to see that. But I don't know if they have any more specific goals. I know they work. My friend is part of it. You know, on recycling, and they want to pull out glass from the waste stream. So glass is very heavy and costs a lot, and also have the town. She told me collect the actual cardboard because it has value, and not give it to the recycling company. You can make money with that to be in these days, I guess.
Yeah.
Anyway, I was wondering if you had kind of reached out to them and figure out what their goals are and what they're
yeah. All of our the group that's the coalition has people that are working specifically on different parts. There will be someone that and we're trying to take this little show to everybody. We're trying to let everybody know so that it will go to the solid waste committee, and that will, transportation and buildings will be planning board and those kind of places. There's lots of other places we will be looking at this. I think the kind of focus we were looking at here was resilience and vulnerability. So that's and natural resources.
So in other words, that would be the Conservation Commission and the Conservancy.
And open space, right.
And open space would be focusing in on those.
Right.
Although transportation, probably open space, making, walking, biking, etc., working on the green corridor. Right. I mean, see, a lot of these overlap. It doesn't have to be one or only one committee, or committees can have several focuses on this. This is what our consultant has done as a summary for New Bedford. And they've come up with a tagline and a logo and their and the name of their plan, and they put their plan together, and then this is a summary of it. And this is something that we figured that we know that folks are not going to want to really read a larger plan. That's just all words and a few pictures here, but this would be much easier for people to kind of grasp the concept and we can get the message apart, around with some bullet points on some nicely shown things about, transportation. And this is just specifically to New Bedford, so this wouldn't have anything to do with us, but this is how it could work for Swampscott with the consultant that we got. We only got $50,000, so we didn't get something for someone who could actually write our plan for us. We're going to be writing the plan ourselves or getting some more help for that. And then we're going to have this consultant do a summary similar to this, which will be maybe 6 or 8 pages, talks about our goals, tells about what we've done, what we've done and what we need to do. Here's our priorities and what we need to do. This is the kind of thing that our consultant can do for us in a plan. And this would be something that would be very easily, presented at any meetings that would be able to let people see, as well as people could just go online and look at it. It might be even in, format of a paper, I'm not sure. So, but this is how they came with theirs, that their actions were different, their goals were different than ours. Right. So it seems there's 2 things happening.
I agree, Tony. I think there's 2 things. One is that we're asking for your help to engage the folks in your group, and then the second order kind of connections that we have in town, because this is going to come up for a vote at town meeting, and we need the votes to get to a yes, right? And then the second thing, which probably should have been the first thing, is we'd like your input to make sure that the plan that we're going to put in front of town meeting represents the actions and the sort of vision that you have in your team, in your committee, whatever, the focus that your organization may have. So that's kind of the exchange that we're trying to start here tonight, right? Is first, help us write the plan, to make sure that it reflects the goals and the vision that you have based on the perspective of your group. And then secondly, you know, help us get the yes vote when it goes in front of town meeting in the spring, because to Vereena's point, that's where the money is going to come from, right? Is if we have some clear, you know, guidelines or limitations or, you know, spending, you know, constraints or whatever that are adopted by the town that will then, you know, kind of put some guardrails around how the town spends its money, spends our money, I guess, you know, to support these initiatives.
It seemed two things come to my mind. One is for open space, is that there is an open space plan that has, I don't know, a lot of objectives that we're going through. And some of those objectives would seem to align with your plan that you're trying to organize. So I would suggest going through those, and it would give extra weight to say, oh, and by the way, you know, having a green corridor is something that the open space people have as an objective. And it also falls under our objective under one of our focus areas. The other thing I would mention that comes to my mind is back, I don't know how far back, but I've seen it. There was a Kleinfelder report done on resiliency and what actions the town can take to deal with like the coastal issues. And I can find it, and you might want to take a look at that. And I don't know if the town did everything that was recommended in that report. I believe the town got a grant and had Kleinfelder do this report, which had a number of actions it recommended related to town properties, not residential properties. And you might want to take a look at that. Those are just two things that pop into my head. The Conservation Commission, I mean, I will talk, I don't think there's anybody else, Colleen's on, but we can raise this at our next meeting. I mean, one thing long-term that I'd like to see is most towns have a local bylaw and wetlands bylaw in addition to the State Wetlands Protection Act. And if we were to move forward on that, we could align with, you know, some of the focus areas and objectives that you have. So that's all I have to say.
We have looked at a lot of those plans. We've looked at the harbor advisory plans. We've looked at plans through town plans. I mean, we haven't ignored any of that kind of stuff. I believe the open space plan was part of what was looked at. And that is how we're trying to work with this. We're wanting to make sure that people know that we're around, that this is actually happening. In addition, sometimes things like the open space plan, I know open space plan is probably one of those variant type plans that doesn't really sit on the shelf because it really can't. It needs to be acted upon by some of the things they have. It's a 5-year plan, and in year 2 you're supposed to be doing this, and 3 and that kind of stuff. But a lot of plans that we have in town just sit on the shelf, and this is supposed to be one of those that's where we're going to be moving along right as we do the plan. We're planning to have it you know, in action as it goes.
I was just, you know, trying to emphasize that if you raise the fact that the open space plan is also doing this, it adds weight to getting it done.
No,
and
the
Kleinfelder, I don't know if you have seen the Kleinfelder one, it was very specific to coastal resiliency. I mean, that was the reason it was implemented. And you're right, it probably sat on the shelf after it was done. And that's another thing to add weight to say, hey, you spent X amount of dollars to have this plan done, and I don't know what the date is, and you're not doing it, you know, so it just adds weight to stuff. But anyway.
Thank you. That's good. That's good information. That's what we need to hear. Sammy.
Once the plan is set up, I like several times the way that you've said that it needs to be kept simple and easy for everyone to act on. And I liked how New Bedford did that. And I think that when you're done with it and have sorted through how you want it to be, if there's a way that it could be something families can really work with and talk about. So maybe a single a single sheet that's like a checklist of maybe families can kind of make fun, make a fun activity of how many of these things did we do this week? Well, we rode our bike instead of drove somewhere. We hung the washout to dry rather than use the dryer, just whatever things, translate that to families and children with lots of pictures and simple things, even a check-off list they could circle or whatever, so that it's a real interactive tool that families are using so that the children are very much a part of this.
And it's, probably not even just families. You probably could do that for, young people, or even older people like us can say, hey, I want to be a part of it. I don't know what to do, but hey, I got this checklist. It makes it a whole, you're right. It's something that can be interactive, and that would be something that would be an ideal type of plan. And to actually see some action going. I mean, I know one of the things that I said up front was that, electrification is one of the ways that is really needed to be done to get us off of the fossil fuel and those kind of things. Those are kinds of things that, even though we know we need to be able to do them, if you don't have the money to do that, it's not going to be something easy, and it's got to be funded. And again, a lot of this stuff has to start with the state or the federal government and go down to the state, then go to the local government, and then down to the people. That's why we're trying to be in this manner right now, just the local, the municipality trying to help. And that's what we're trying to put this plan together for, as a municipal plan, to say, this is how we're going to try and work with this. We know that we're not going to be able to get everybody electrified. Not everybody can afford it, and not everybody's going to think it's that great. And they're not going to, that's the part that's going to be tough. And so we need to be out there and trying to get understanding of what really needs to happen to affect climate change. So does anybody else have a comment or complaint, a question, more input?
Gerri, this was a great presentation. This is Marzi. I know that some of our members from the planning board were not able to be here today, and they wanted to extend an invitation to the meeting on November 14th. So if you and maybe perhaps additional members, if you will be available, they would love to have you join them at the meeting and talk about your plan, or just maybe do the similar presentation as you did today in front of the planning board.
That would be great. This is the kind of thing I think I see Martha Schmidt here. She's also part of the Climate Action Resilience Coalition. And we are going around to different places. I believe school committee has asked us, and the senior center has asked us. Actually, I think open space asked us to come to a meeting. And so I'm hoping that we don't have to repeat this to them again. If we have some people here from the Open Space Committee that might be able to forward this information to them.
So I'm recording this, and I'm happy to share it with anybody who is interested in a copy of it. I'll forward to you after this meeting, and obviously to Tony and some of the other groups, the committees.
Right. Yes. No. I mean, we sent out to committees and asked them, and it'd be great. I mean, I'm not sure whether what do you know what time that meeting is? Is it again? Is it a Zoom?
Yes, it's a Zoom meeting. It's at 7 o'clock, and what I'll do is I'll forward to you the Zoom invite, and it's on the 14th, so it's in 2 weeks. No, it's not. Yeah, it's 2 weeks.
And that date is what day is
Monday, Monday, November 14 at 7 p.m.
Okay.
And then I'll speak with the chair and find out if there's a better time. So then this way you don't have to sit through any of the regular business that's on the agenda. Perhaps just schedule a time that you could attend, or the coalition could attend.
Yeah, no, that sounds like something. And I have this already put together. I don't think there's a problem with me going back and doing it again.
Okay, thank you.
Easy. Yeah.
Tony, you're muted.
Is it possible to share the PowerPoint with us? That would be helpful.
Yeah, yes, I can do that.
Okay.
So there's a lot of folks who took the time to join today. I just want to say thank you for everybody for listening in, and just really want to invite comments. You know, I love hearing the word no, because it means that you've thought about it and have another perspective. So if there's anyone who has any, you know, kind of contrarian perspectives or reasons for us to get paranoid about a vote at a town meeting, or things you think we've, you know, blind spots, you know, just want to invite anyone to speak up who maybe sees this a little differently. Just would like to invite those comments.
Maybe I missed that. My apologies. What are you asking at town meeting to get support for specifically?
We're going to ask town meeting to adopt the plan and to formally sort of hold the town accountable to allocate resources according to the plan and to meet the objectives that are defined in the plan around, you know, emissions or, you know, whatever we write in the plan, right? So we want it to be binding in a way that the vote that was taken at the last town meeting was non-binding. We're basically trying to you know, ratchet up the commitment to following a plan to achieve those outcomes. So we want to make sure that the plan is you know, comprehensive and achievable, and something that we can all commit to supporting.
But you have to develop the plan first, right? Before you, yeah, okay.
Exactly.
We are, yeah,
So
we're working on the plan. It's not,
And that will go out for comment to, I would presume, the committees and also the general public, or no?
Yeah, that's right, Tony. So the sort of timeline I think Gerri shared, well, first of all, the plan itself is that kind of donut slide, right, that showed the different components of the plan. And those are the things we need to flesh out in terms of specific, you know, objectives or metrics that we want to meet. And then my understanding of our timeline from the consultant that we've engaged is that we'll get a draft of that plan back in like February-ish, which should give us about 8 weeks to have a period of engagement, not only with the committees and boards and groups in the town, but also, you know, public comment and sort of some public interaction ahead of the vote.
That'll have to be necessary. There's no way that you're going to be able to go to town meeting if you don't have a plan that people can look at and read and understand. And so, yeah, we're going to try and do. I understand in the winter, you know, January, February, March, they're going to be, you know, maybe a blitz on this, where there'll be some, you know, going around to different places, maybe you know, knocking on doors and telling people about it, all kinds of stuff. I mean, it's going to be. It's kind of like you do when you have the school committee, you know, have these meetings. Hopefully we'll have meetings out there that people will come to and listen and make their comments known. So, okay. Well, thank you very much for everybody. I mean, if we have no more questions, I'm not sure what else I can say or what we can say.
Gerri.
Yes.
I had one question. Oh, go ahead, Erica.
That's okay.
First, thank you for the presentation. It was great, as all the information I really had been wondering about, since I did try to start joining the CARC meetings early on and wasn't able to continue. So thank you very much. It was really informative and really appreciate it. I just had a clarification question. Is the survey that you're sending out a new survey, or is it the same survey that had been sent out earlier? Like, I don't remember, it was like early in the summer.
Yeah, it's the same one.
Okay.
If you saw it we did it at a couple of farmers markets. We had people come out and do it. Yeah. Okay.
That's what I need to know, because I think I had sent that out, or it had been sent out a couple times on the SC Facebook and stuff like that. So.
Yep, and it has also been in the newsletter and a few other things. Yep.
Are you hoping to have it recirculated? Because I can send that out again through SC Communications, or do you think you want it to be, you know, visible again, or because that was a while ago? If you're still looking for information, feedback on that.
Yeah, we're trying to get feedback, but I don't know how much more feedback we're going to get from people. And I think this is not going to be the only survey. We might have another survey come out. That's why we don't want to like bunch them up too much. That's my understanding. I think we thought that this survey, that's why we're ending at the end, the middle of this month, we want to make sure that we get what we want out of it, and then move on. If we need to do another survey, it becomes easier to explain later.
Okay, that sounds good. Thanks.
So would the what would a second survey wave? How would the?
I don't know that there will be one. I'm just saying. I'm only suggesting that maybe our consultant might want to get some more information or different kinds of information than this first survey can.
Got it. So the idea. So this first one is to inform, like, the initial draft, really, of or no?
I don't know, Ryan. What do you think? The first?
Yeah, I think we want to get a baseline of sort of responses. There's some value in asking the same questions, over, like, I don't know, longitudinal, whatever the magic word is, or of seeing how people's perceptions change over time. And we also want to see kind of what kind of percentage of the community, were we able to reach in this first wave, right? So if we can reach, 10, 15, 20, I don't know what percentage of the town population we can reach with this first wave, that may be kind of indicative of where we need to go with the plan. If we think that we've somehow, not incorporated, we want it to be representative, right? So if we think we haven't gotten, if we haven't gotten representative responses, then there may be a reason to go back and get some more this time around. But I could see us asking, sending out the same survey next year, and after town meeting, after we've maybe raised some awareness and adopted the plan, see if people's perceptions change, and doing it over time. But I think the balance we're trying to strike here, Ciara, is sort of get enough information to give us, some direction to get the plan done, and still meet the somewhat aggressive timeline that we have as we march towards spring town meeting.
Yeah. Okay. And do you have a sense of, was there an initial goal of, like, we want to reach this many people with the survey, and do you have a sense of where the responses are? I guess, like, just to echo Erica's question, I was just thinking about, like, some fresh avenues for outreach. If you want more feedback at this point, if you want more, like, I think Gerri, you said you were maybe going to go in front of school committee. Like, would there be a way to even send this home, like, through the schools, like, to, somehow, just different outreach?
There could be.
I'd love to get Marzi's perspective on that. Is that something that we could send to Pam to send out to parents? I'm not sure if that's a thing.
Well, either to Pam or maybe the PTOs. I don't know if I think that the schools, as I recall, I don't know if they do like mailings like that, but maybe working through the PTOs would be the best option.
Okay.
We do have a QR code that we could put on a page and people could hand it out.
The schools don't allow flyers.
Well, I'm just saying, but we could still have, and we could put it on an email or something like that, couldn't you?
Well, we also have a couple of things upcoming, right? We have the special town meeting coming up. We have the 01907 event, and then we still have the Indo Farmers Market. Maybe that's also an opportunity to reach out and really engage the population that perhaps that have not engaged to date.
Right.
Yeah, I'm happy to throw it. I'm happy to have the, elementary school PTOs throw it out on our Facebook page, and just thinking about as the deadline approaches, is there enough
anything
data?
We can do to? So I'm seeing 214 responses in there right now.
Okay.
Right? So that it's some. It's not a ton out of however many thousands of people. So I think short answer here is yes. We'll take all the help we can get. If we can do a push in the next week or so to just get 100 more responses, that would be awesome.
Right.
And then also, if we have the QR code or maybe just information, perhaps we could leave it outside of the polls next week as people go to vote. Maybe that's something else that we could engage the residents.
Right.
all great ideas. We'll take all the help we can get. So thank you.
Thank you. Yes, that's good. Anything else? And you can send those things to me. If whoever wants, I mean, I can forward them and make sure we get it out to wherever we need. I think my email was on the announcement for this program, but it's you know, I'm out there. People know where I am. Okay.
You.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much for coming. And this has been good. I'm glad that there's been a response to you know, what we are doing. Very good. And thanks, Ryan and Suzanne, for helping. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.